All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our third episode of our series on mental health and entrepreneurship. We took a week off last week, so we're joining you with episode 3. And we're talking about one of my favorite topics. It's anxiety, which I personally have and struggle with. And I think it's common, especially in entrepreneurs, just to have general anxiety from running your business and getting a business off the ground, but then also dealing with it in the other areas of our lives as well. And how do we run our businesses while we're dealing with that? So Crystal is here with me as usual. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts on anxiety, Crystal.
I have a close relationship with anxiety, but not in the way people think. My wife has had chronic anxiety. Really significant, kind of debilitating anxiety. And I think it's important that we also talk about in this segment how it affects you if you're the partner, because it's really hard to understand anxiety if it's something that you haven't dealt with. And I had never dealt with it before, and I'll admit, I was a bit insensitive to it because I just assumed that it was one of those things that you could maybe control better, or that it would be easier to handle. And then when I went on medications for depression last summer, karma, that was, it gave me really severe anxiety. And I finally understood all that she had suffered with. So it's really, it affects so many people, everybody in your household, everybody potentially at your business could be affected by the way anxiety affects you. So I know what we want to do in this segment is just kind of talk about our own experiences of how do you keep track of it and be mindful of it, and what are some things that you can do to, to help control it. Because anxiety, well, it bites, it sucks, but hopefully we can give you bite-sized pieces so that it sucks less.
Exactly. And I think you hit it right on. I think part of it is just talking about it. I've had generalized anxiety disorder for most of my life. And it's kind of one of those things where, because it's seen as weakness or it's seen as unusual, we don't really talk about it, right? Or it's kind of taboo to talk about it. You're not just going to go to a client and say, sorry, I'm 10 minutes late to this conference call. I was having a literal panic attack in my bathroom for no reason on a Tuesday. We don't, it's not acceptable socially always to kind of say those things. And so I think some of this is just making time to just acknowledge that it's real and it's valid. And I think we can just share some of the tools that we've found in our businesses and in our personal lives work for us. I know for me, one of the biggest things that I struggled with when I became a full-time entrepreneur and stepped away from my office job was kind of all of a sudden the routine leaves. And when you have anxiety, routine can be really helpful and really nourishing, right? Because anxiety makes you feel like you don't know what's coming next, even if you do. And so routine can really help that. And when I first started my business, there was no routine in the day-to-day. And so, we kind of have this dream of like work from home, work from anywhere. But then when you get there, the actual reality sometimes can be overwhelming. You have everything to do and nothing to do all at the same time. And for me, it was really about establishing just a really solid routine. And for me, it was starting with my morning routine. It's like you don't even have to revolutionize your entire day. You can start small and say, okay, well, every morning I'm going to wake up at this time. I'm going to have coffee. I'm going to answer emails. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to walk my dog. And doing it in a specific order and being consistent about it was really helpful for me. And I know that was kind of a big one for me is now I'm home. I run my business from here. But it was kind of like anxiety party of one and like nobody around to bring structure to the day. So that was one of the biggest challenges I found.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I'm a firm believer in what a routine can do, right? We had a great session with Carol. I've been doing that for my depression, and it's absolutely wonderful. I keep annoying my wife every morning really early, like, get up, let's go to the gym, routine, routine, routine. But it really, the more consistency you have in your life, I mean, we're not just making this up. I mean, if you want to Google psychological study of consistency, there's so many articles on it. But the more things that you can introduce to your life that are consistent, right, that have consistency, that play themselves out continually, the better you feel, the better your mentality is. So routine, totally. And one of the things that helped me, because I didn't know what anxiety would feel like. And I remember I had been on the medications maybe 4 days, and we went to a local coffee shop. And, some of you know me well. Claire knows me very well. I am a people person. I'm ridiculously social, outgoing, totally will talk to strangers, no issues. I have never in my life felt afraid of people. I couldn't handle being in a coffee shop. I couldn't breathe. I started crying. I had so many feelings and so many emotions and pain that I couldn't describe that occurred, and I didn't know what was happening to me. And my wife said, "Oh, you are having anxiety." But it's, like you mentioned earlier, Claire, you don't know how to predict it. So one of the things that helped me was keeping a journal. What made me feel anxiety? Was it isolation? Was it being around people? Was it specific noises? For example, there are certain types of music that if I listen to that, my wife's going to go, no, 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 no. I mean, so keeping track of what is giving you anxiety at the time will help you understand, what do I do to calm it? If I'm having anxiety because there's 50 people here, I need to go to an office space less crowded to work, or I need to leave where I'm at. But if it's isolation, then you need to do the opposite of that, right? I need to go, is there a place where you can have like a co-workspace with somebody? So think about, what are the environmental changes that I can do that will have a positive impact on the anxiety that I'm experiencing? And if you keep a journal of that, it will help you recognize why you're experiencing it, so that you can figure out, what can I do to change that?
And some of it, like Crystal's saying, is trial and error. Like, some days are going to be better than others. And if you struggle with anxiety, it's how you manage it is probably not going to be any different in your business. I know for me, I'm very introverted. That's, Crystal's the sunshine to my bitchy full moon. But so for me, kind of the transition to working from home on paper was like, this is awesome. I don't love interacting with people all the time. This is going to be amazing. But in reality, it kind of fed into my natural tendencies to want to isolate and be alone. And so I was in a position where, not only for my job, but just in my personal life, where I was sitting with my own thoughts a lot and just going over and over and over, because I suddenly didn't have coworkers or a business partner to bounce ideas off of. And so for me, it was kind of recognizing that, like, okay, well, working from home is awesome. Like, I need a few days a week where I am out in community. And you can do that in any variety of ways. I have a yoga studio that I go to. I have an office space now that I can go and work and see people, and even just that kind of like, hey, how are you doing? Good morning. Somebody to just kind of get you out of your own thoughts can be really helpful. And I know as entrepreneurs, we tend to sit with our thoughts a lot on our own, because we're kind of the idea that is feeding the business and the growth that's feeding the business. And so it can be helpful, I think, to kind of fight that natural tendency to isolate, which is very easy to do when you're in charge of your own schedule.
Yeah, and I think that this is more common with people who are introverted, because they prefer isolation, because they aren't, I'm not saying they don't like people, but they're not as comfortable in front of people, especially groups. So what happens to introverted people is they get stuck with their thoughts, because they're not somebody who will just walk up to a crowd of people and start talking, right? So I definitely, I see that pattern in her, being my wife, being very introverted, you being very introverted. So, knowing that, okay, I like isolation, but too much of it will make me too stuck with my thoughts, and then it will just spiral. I mean, and her anxiety it spirals. And then there's self-doubt, and then there's all these stressors and this and this and this and this and this. So for her, it's where can we go to get out of the house that's a comfortable place for you? Don't drag yourself somewhere new with a bunch of new people if you're not an extrovert, right? Go somewhere comfortable. And if you keep track of these things, you'll be able to have these go-to things that you can do, these go-to places. Like for me, I love going to the gym in the morning because there's people there.
Yeah.
And we want to go and do the same thing and sweat and work out and pump and talk to each other and, grunt and, whatever you do when you're
going
lifting
to a
heavy
gym or a
weights.
frat house?
The lines blur. No, I'm just kidding. There's not a lot of those at my gym. It's mostly a lot of silver sneaker members, and I totally digging all my new senior citizen friends. Like, we're just having a good time there in the gym in the morning, and I like it. I love the routine, right? I have people, regulars that I talk to, but that's not what works. That's definitely not what works for my wife as an introvert. It's like, I don't want to get up early. I do not want to start my day with people. That's not what I want to do. I want to do that later after I've transitioned into my day. So you have to know yourself. You really have to pay attention to what's causing it. How do I feel? And be willing to try things to kind of counterbalance that.
I think something else that's tremendously helped me, and if you don't have one, I would say get one immediately. But especially when we moved, my partner took a job here in Vermont, and we moved to Vermont about a year and a half ago, and I didn't know anybody here. So it's like you take already working from home, already feeling isolated, already kind of in your head, and you move to a place where you don't really know anybody or have community. And my wife was going to work every day, and she was at work all day and meeting colleagues there. And I was just kind of like, grinding away in my home office by myself. And Crystal and I started meeting weekly very shortly after that. She was kind of going, you were pretty much really starting to get your depression was worsening. I was feeling isolated, and just having that kind of business buddy where no matter what, you're going to meet up. Maybe there were days I was in my pajamas and hadn't even brushed my teeth yet. There were days like it didn't matter. We showed up for each other. And that's kind of how this project got born. But at first it was just kind of co-working and checking in once a week. And if you don't have that in your business, I would say absolutely find that person. And that person might be in here. You can post in the group looking for somebody. Sometimes they're called accountability buddies. I don't really like that word. I think it's more of a cheerleader, right? Someone who, when you're feeling down and alone in your business, they also have their own business, and can kind of connect with you and understand where you're coming from. And that's something that's been tremendous for my anxiety, and I would highly, highly recommend. If you're not sure where to go, certainly post in this group. There's tons of awesome women in here. But there's a bunch of other Facebook groups that are designed specifically for that purpose. So yep. I think that's my big final thing is if you're a solopreneur, or you're the only employee in your business, or you just don't feel like you can talk to your employees because you have a power dynamic with them that maybe doesn't make kind of unloading appropriate, get a biz bestie.
Yeah, and mastermind groups are great too. I have a mastermind group. There's 6 of us, and the goal is we hold each other accountable, right? We check in. How's the business doing? How are you doing in your personal life?
Are you taking care of yourself?
This is how you did compared to your goal. We do quarterly goals, a yearly goal, monthly goals, and we just, having somebody hold you accountable makes you push yourself to a greater extent. And it totally started with the 6 of us being extremely driven, saying this is going to be all about business. And it's blossomed into so much more because we have 5 other people that are cheerleaders for us in our personal lives. They know so many of the things that's going on with me, and I know the things that are going on with them. And it's, so whether it's a group dynamic like that, or it's a one-on-one situation like what Claire and I have, we check in on each other all the time. And I have her figured out. So if there's certain stuff that clicks and I haven't heard from her in a while, I know Claire, are you doing okay? How's this? How's this? But you can't, we can't do it all on our own. We shouldn't try. There's no point in hiding the things that are challenging for you. There's no point in it. I mean, get it out. Whether you work out, you do meditation, you do yoga, you play video games, you have a business buddy, you punch a punching bag, you color, you paint, whatever you do, do something to allow yourself to express the way that you feel. Give somebody the ability to be there for you and help you. And just be honest with yourself. It's okay. It is totally okay to, be a little funky sometimes. It's okay, We're women and this is what hormones do, unfortunately. Because men have men have no idea how lucky they are.
You could not pay me to be a man.
Really?
Yeah, no thanks. Hard pass.
They've got to have it so much easier.
They have it amazing, but they're on their way out and we're on our way in. So I'd rather be on the team subbing in.
I don't know. There's a lot of things I'd like to give up. I might jump to the other side.
We're getting off topic.
Oh, very.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments if you'd rather be a man or a woman. Because that's what this has turned into.
Hashtag team man.
Hashtag team man. Yeah, I'd like to see how that hashtag goes. You should go start that on social media.
Oh, geez.
So, I mean, I think I don't have a ton more to add on this topic because anxiety is so individual and specific. I think we've covered some really, really good stuff. We're definitely, as usual, really interested in hearing from you guys, how you manage your anxiety in your business. And I know we didn't really touch on this, but I know we did during depression. And I would say that the diet and exercise thing absolutely applies to anxiety as well. So I won't preach like yoga at you guys, but it personally has helped me a ton. Limiting coffee and caffeine. Sometimes it's easy when you work at home by yourself to get on that 6th, 7th cup of coffee because the kitchen's right there. And I know really only having my 1 cup of coffee in the morning has greatly helped. Essential oils have greatly helped me. A good old-fashioned joint every now and then, like do what you got to do, but these are like practical things that I've done that have helped me. So
I've done similar things because like I said, how lucky am I to have had anxiety for the first time ever? And this was last year. So 36 years, right? It's insanity. And my wife had bought me this little bracelet that's made of lava beads for me to pour essential oils in. It smells would help relax me. Yeah. And I would focus on things like, okay, Claire's wearing it's a pink blouse. It's pink. The fabric looks like it's soft. She has brown hair. It's long. Like I would just find details to focus on and tell myself details about it. And then that would remind me of my passion for writing. And then I would kind of make this little imaginary scenario and then I would start writing. So, do the things that make you happy, whatever your happy place is. Listen to the kind of music. I have different playlists and there's some stuff I am not going to listen to if I'm having a little bit of anxiety, or I'm not going to listen to it if I'm a little sad that day, right? Because I know where it's going to put me. So it really all comes down to having self-awareness and being honest with yourself about that. But I'm a huge believer in yoga, meditation, working out, routine, diet. But there's just do something. If you don't know where to start somewhere. Please just start.
Love it. Well, I hope this has been helpful for you guys. This is just, I think, us just wanting to have an honest conversation about anxiety and say what's worked for us. if you guys are interested in kind of the biz bestie thing or finding a partner in here, let us know. We can organize it in a way where we can put up a form or something for you guys to apply, or do it in a way if you're shy or more introverted and you're not sure about just reaching out. Let us know, because we're more than happy to facilitate that and kind of make it a little less weird, because it can be hard to know, like, just to reach out to someone. So we can do a post about it or something. So let us know that in the comments if you guys would be interested in getting buddied up. You can't have Crystal though; she's already taken.
I was just going to say, are you volunteering my big mouth? Because this is what happens to
We
me
will
when
partner you up with each other.
Yeah, I'm like the social rain man. So this is always what happens to me when I go to conferences and stuff, is people are like, can you introduce me to that person? Can you talk to that person for me? Can you help? Like, I'm like, yeah,
Totally can.
yeah, we'll make it work.
For that person.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, any final thoughts, Crystal?
Yeah, no, maybe get your animals spayed or neutered.
And there you have it.
Yeah.
And Bob Barker.
I miss that guy.
Yeah, I don't, but yes, R.I.P.
That's good.
Yeah. I didn't realize he died.
I don't even know. He just retired. He was like 12,000 years old. He was the
Probably
same.
Dead.
He was like Methuselah's age, and
seems unlikely that he's among the living. All right. Well, rest in peace, Bob Barker, and thank you for joining us this week, you guys.
Word.